This podcast is brought to you by Penji. Penji is a creative subscription service that gives you access to pre-vetted, agency-trained creatives from all over the world. From graphic design to illustrations to social media management and web development, it's all included for one monthly price. It's time to say goodbye to the hassle of searching for top-notch creative talent. With Penji, you get quality and consistency delivered right to your inbox every day, carefully crafted for you by humans. So meet your new creative team today. Head over to penji.co for more and enter the coupon code located within the podcast show notes.
Alrighty, hello everyone, and welcome to the Fully Managed Podcast, the podcast where we discuss marketing and business tips to help assist you on your business journey. I'm your host, Shannon, Penji's partnership coordinator, and I'm joined here today with a very special guest, Amber McHugh from ambermchugh.com. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Oh my gosh. Thrilled to be here. Excited to hang out, Shannon.
I'm super excited to have you on. It's also really fun to be able to do that introduction with your name also in your business because it's like, it's just like a
Keep it
fun little
simple. Keep it simple.
Amber from Amber. So could you start by introducing yourself, letting us know a little bit about you, what you think is relevant to getting to this point in your professional career, anything you think people need to know. It can be long, it can be short, whatever you like.
I love it. Well, thanks everyone for hanging out with us. So happy to be here with you. I run my companies from anywhere. I started my career in corporate and soon realized that, oh man, we want some opportunities to have a little bit more flexibility and freedom in our lives with our family. And so I started a company, actually started a brick and mortar first, a bit of a brick and mortar, more of a brick and mortar model, a photography company that grew into 26 cities with a team of over 50. And I still was able to do that while building my consulting business alongside that, where I partner with other business owners to help them build, scale, and grow their companies through the modern CEO method. And now that designing our businesses in that way, that we wanted freedom, flexibility to be able to run it from anywhere. I now live abroad. My husband's job takes us everywhere with our girls. So it's kind of fun. It's a fun life. It's cool to be able to build a business strategically with a lifestyle goal in mind too, and they complement each other. So I feel really grateful and I'm excited to be here and dive into the podcast.
That's really beautiful. And that's also so cool. So what kind of photography did you do? I'm curious.
Boudoir. It was a
Ooh,
boudoir photography company. Yep.
okay, very
Uh-huh.
cool. Oh my
Yep.
God.
Super
Okay.
cool.
Is that just something that you really liked? Like you had a hobby and you were like, I would love to, do something with this?
Yeah, exactly. We started it and my business partner and I were like, oh, this is fun. Family kept asking, friends kept asking. We're like, we think we're on to something. And we were enjoying it and continue to expand from there.
Oh, that sounds so cool.
Yep.
So you also have a podcast too. Can you tell me? I love talking to people with other podcasts because I'm always like curious. Okay, so what do you think the hardest part about it is, and what's your favorite part?
Oh, okay. Hardest part is well, favorite part. I'm gonna do favorite first. That's
Okay.
easier. Love connecting with people. And two things. When I do a solo episode, I love thinking through the ideas, the concepts that we're gonna share, what'll benefit people. So I enjoy that part of it, sort of the structuring of the idea. And then the second favorite part is I love connecting with people and hearing people's stories and journeys. 100% love. So that's a big joy. Least favorite part is similar, planning out the content. It's like getting to sit down and
Mhm.
plan out the content, that becomes a challenge sometimes. But once I'm doing it, I'm like, oh, this is great. I love this.
No, I completely understand that it's like getting yourself to do it is a little bit like jarring where you're
Yeah.
kind of "Oh, okay again. But it's also really fun because I think amping myself up for knowing that I'm about to talk to someone because the talking part is fun. I love doing
Yeah.
that, and I think the planning part is it's not fun, but it's more tedious, so you're obviously and you're worried, like, maybe this question isn't good or maybe, they get asked this too often, so it's but I agree with you. I really like connecting with people. It's really nice to I love knowledge. And that sounds so silly,
Mhm.
but I love learning every day. Like if I get to learn something every day, my day is a success. Like I think it's
Yeah,
fulfilled. And doing the
good.
podcast is really nice because I get to learn constantly, especially about something that's helpful in my, professional life. So it's an incredible
Mhm.
thing to be able to do.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. I agree. And I love that you said learning something new every day. It's a fun moment. I am a little embarrassed some days, however, where we sit. I'm in West Africa. I'm in Cote d'Ivoire right now. I mentioned we live, work from anywhere. And so to keep up on things happening where I am around the world, I'm out here on not an island, but it feels like an island.
Mhm.
And so I read a lot of news. And then the things so I'm learning a lot of new things, and I'm in conversations with like, "Oh, I just read an article. Oh, I read an article on that." It's like,
You have to be the read an article person. Oh, I actually just well, it's so bad though. You're educated. That's fine. That's
oh, I'm
good.
current events.
That's good. That's very funny though. I completely understand that type of person, but I feel like sometimes I'm that type of person, so it's fine.
You
But
can
sometimes
relate.
it'll be like I find out things through social media because I constantly have to be on it for like marketing purposes, whatever, seeing what's new and stuff. But I'm I think it's very important to read articles. A lot of people find out information through there and believe it, but they don't know the full knowledge. I constantly am that person that like if I see something and I'm fascinated by it, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna look this up. Make sure this
Yeah,
is real.
exactly.
Make sure I'm not going around spreading misinformation. I have done that before, for sure. Like where I'm like, I'm not looking things up, but I'm like, did you guys know? Then
Did it
everyone's like, I don't think that's true.
I
I
love it.
not sure you're actually saying anything that's actually factual. Like, I very much try to avoid doing that, but I think that it's really nice to be able to. It does suck because you don't have. Sometimes when you're stuck in a little bubble, you have a hard time getting experiential information. But at the same
Yeah,
time, it's really good to stay up to date with
yeah,
you know
keeping up to speed.
facts. But so what I'm seeing with your practice is kind of that you have a different approach to helping business owners than I've kind of seen.
Mhm.
One, okay, so a couple things that I wanted to mention that I want to kind of pick your brain about is okay, so you have a
Yeah,
quiz on your
yeah.
website, which I really, really think is interesting because I've never seen that before. What do you think what do you think makes this helpful? Because I was thinking, oh, okay, maybe this is helpful with categorizing clients' problems before you have a conversation with them, which sounds really
Mhm.
nice. Um,
Yeah.
but I was also wondering if there was any other pros that you found from doing that because it's a unique attribute that I've seen.
Yeah. So, quizzes can be helpful. They're quite popular, right? I believe. Speaking of articles, I believe BuzzFeed that has really ramped up their quizzes. For example,
Mhm.
my daughter and I were in the doctor's office the other day. She said, "Mom, what kind of animal are you?" And I was like, "I don't know. What kind of animal am I?" She's like, "Find a quiz." So I Googled to find a quiz. What I actually didn't Google find a quiz. I Googled what kind of animal are you? And the quiz came up, and it was a Reddit quiz, and they Reddit had not Reddit, I'm so sorry, BuzzFeed has
Mhm.
introduced a lot of quizzes because they're so engaging, people are drawn to them, and we see them pop up on social media, right? What princess are you? What color are you? Right? They're popping up all over about different things, and because people are drawn to them. So it's a great way as you think about if you're running a business, if you are doing some marketing, allowing people this opportunity to discover something new about themselves that could be fun and quirky, like what kind of animal are you? Or that could be more oriented around something productive. Not quite the extent of a detailed psychological personality on it,
Of course.
but right, just a guide, something that gives you a guide or allows you to audit. So the quiz we have is a growth mindset quiz, and it helps you identify: am I operating in more of a managerial employee mindset, or am I embracing things and a mindsets that owners need to do? For example, owners, and as you're leading teams and companies, you need to think about things like setting your vision, and you need to think about things like getting the right team on board versus if I am on the team, right? Someone else is taking care of that. Or if I'm on the team, I manage this project, which I'm a team member in a lot of ways on a lot of things. and it's a different lens. So with our quiz, Shannon, thank you for asking about that. We sort of guide people to think through, all right, am I operating more like an employee in my own company, or am I fulfilling the role of owner, entrepreneur, and modern CEO?
Okay, so do you think that there is kind of, for lack of better phrasing, problems with both of those categories? Like you're doing too much of one? Is that kind of why?
Yeah, well, there could be problems, and if I once had a doula say to me, I was working with a sleep consultant
Mm.
on my daughter who was not sleeping well. It's just like, is it a problem for you that she comes into the room in the middle of the night? I'm like, not really. I mean, I could use a little bit more sleep, but I don't mind. I know it's just a season in time. She's like, it's not a problem for you. Don't worry about it. It's not a problem.
Mhm.
However, if you're seeing things in your company like, I don't know who does what, I can't take time off. I get text messages over dinner. I can't even go to the bathroom without my
Yeah.
email blowing up. Like,
Mhm.
okay, these are some signs that we may want to redesign how your business is operating. So
Mhm.
you are not in it all the time, and you can have the time to be strategic and look ahead. Because if you're not paying attention to the future, if you're not paying attention to the vision, you're not looking at the data. If someone on your team isn't looking at these things and you as owner aren't attending to that, even the financials, right? If you're ignoring your financial, you as a business owner need to know cash flow can be a big problem for businesses, right? So yeah, if you're not paying attention to those things, which, right, if I'm on a team, not my job, not my responsibility, because I'm focused on this other thing that is more project specific or a specific role that I'm playing on a team, someone's got to be looking at that overarching thing. And as a business owner and entrepreneur, I would highly recommend you have your eye on those things,
Mm.
or you're going to start to see those problems
Mhm.
um, emerge. Yeah.
Okay, so that's a really good way of categorizing it because I definitely people will think I I believe that they have the CEO mindset, but I think that they're sometimes too far on that spectrum of that it's taking over their life, which I understand when you start a business, sometimes that's the way it has to be for a period of time, of course.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
understand what you're saying is that like if that is their business model is so fixated on their specific position that they're necessary for like contacting no matter what if there's a problem or whatever that's like your
Yeah.
systems aren't in place.
Yeah, exactly. You know, systems in place, or if you have that belief that no one can do it than I can, or no one will do it as well, or no one will care as much. We've got a team and a hiring problem because there are
Mhm.
absolutely people out there who will care as much or more about that thing than you do, believe it or not, right? Because it's their heart is in it. That's their passion, especially if they're things that you don't enjoy doing or you once enjoyed doing, but now they're becoming tedious or annoying because you've got to give your attention to these other things.
Mm.
So it's definitely a balancing act. But there is a whole lot of data that supports when you get the right help. Like if you're not good at something, share that with someone who is as good or better at it, that you will see better results in your business.
Of course, yeah. I've talked to a lot of
Yeah.
agency owners where I asked them what would they do differently if they knew what they do now or whatever it may be. And a lot of them say that they either looked into hiring people for things that they could do themselves or they looked into hiring like, they hired in the wrong category kind of thing. Like, they
Mhm.
don't like something, but they continue to do that because they couldn't trust someone to do it for them or something like that.
Yeah.
And I think that allocating what you need is really important, but a lot of people are bad at doing that because they don't wanna trust someone else to do it or they don't think they can do it better than they can. And that's fine for certain categories, but if you're overloading yourself, I mean, you're not being efficient, then, obviously,
Yeah.
it's gonna be at a detriment to how you're working.
Yeah, big time. In the book, The Productivity Project, the author shares research on this idea of overloading ourselves and are we productive when we're working 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 hours a week? And the research shows that if you're in a season of crunch time, if you're in a season of go time, you've got a big project, you've got a launch, you've got a grand opening coming up, and you're working more than 40 hours a week, you will get the gains of working 50, 60, 70 hours a week for about 2 to 3 weeks. But after that, productivity plummets and you might as well be working 20 hours a week.
Mm.
And that's because of things like we just kind of get fried and we don't even know it. And someone asks a question, you're like, I don't know. Let me think about it. Or you take more coffee breaks. You need more coffee. You're right. So the productivity starts to drop and you're barely noticing. And you're like, I just have to keep going. Maybe you just need a break or you need to get some team members to help you with those things so that isn't
Mhm.
your long-term go-to. Again, a couple weeks, okay, 3 weeks, even a month. But after that, oh, we got to reset the model.
Yeah, or you need to kind of reframe the model. Like, yeah, like maybe it's just maybe you're not overloaded because you're working too much, but maybe you're doing too many things. Or you have to like
Yeah.
narrow your scope or something like that.
They're so exactly. Are you focused on the right things? Are you focused on what I call $1 bills versus your honeys? Like you want to make sure you're focused on high impact activities. And then do you have a team but you're not trusting them? Maybe there's a reason. So that's where the diagnostic and something like a quiz, to go back to your original question, is helpful, where you do an audit. Like, all right, what is really going on here? And let's parse through that so we can find a better long-term solution.
No, I think that's really efficient, and I really like the idea of quizzes. I love quizzes. I've been making them since I was like 13 on Facebook. I love them. I love quizzes. But I actually did. I talked to one of the like lead marketing directors when BuzzFeed was at its height. Her name is
Yeah.
Melissa Rosenthal. She's a lovely person. Um,
Yes.
but she was talking about how like the attraction of quizzes and how that kind of led to BuzzFeed's boom was that
Yeah.
and I remember taking them when I was a kid. I loved them. They were just like they were fun and they were attractive and you could send them to your friends and it was just like a very fun thing. But I can see how useful they are. Like
Yeah.
they're similar to a survey almost, I think, but
Yeah.
it's more fun when you get a survey and you hear the word survey, you're like, or like I'm thinking of Blue Cross Blue Shield. Like I'm thinking of like my insurance company contacting me to do a
How
survey.
can do?
I always do it because I'm like, oh, they were good to me. I have to do it. I have to, I have to respond. But
Do it.
most people don't want to, and I get it. And I don't want to do it, but I do it anyway. But but quizzes are fun. They're like interactive in a way that makes you feel noticed or cared about
Mm.
in a way that a survey is kind of it feels almost selfish in a way
Yeah.
to, for the person. And it's not that just, sending out a survey is not selfish. It's just asking for feedback and you can choose
Mhm.
not to take it.
Yeah.
But I like a quiz because it feels more of something that you're getting something out of it because there's a result rather than a
Yeah.
survey is, only one-sided in a way.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. It's very
So
true. That's a good point. There's the element of the law of reciprocity. And, I'm giving you something and you're giving me something. And there's that exchange, right? As I am building connection with potential clients, right? I'd love to be able to stay in touch with them. So from a quiz perspective, right? They're giving me their email address, but I give them some results and a lens into their business. So there's a fair exchange
mhm.
there. And yeah, hopefully as you're like going through and learning something that you can apply.
Yeah, exactly. So that's like a very nice thing, for lack of better phrasing, to do because it's. I think that people don't often want to do something that's just not that's one sided or not helpful to them,
Yeah.
or like it's not very likely.
Yeah.
So that's exactly the case is that you're putting them in that scenario where they're getting help, but they're also doing something for you, in which like
Yeah.
you might have a potential client, and that's really helpful.
Win-win. Win-win. Love it.
Exactly. So I love quizzes, and I think that's great that you're doing that. I think more agencies would really benefit from having a quiz, especially
Mhm.
it sets you up to like not only with their email and their contact information, but it sets you up with having you can already get an idea about what they need before you actually talk to them, which I think is something that's
Yeah.
super helpful when categorizing clients or potential clients,
Mhm.
where I feel like people go in blind to meetings most of the time about what they need and they can only learn from them through what they're saying. But I think that there's a difficulty with transparency between clients sometimes where they're not giving you all of the information. But if they have to answer all these questions on this
Yeah.
quiz, like the priority information
Yeah,
has to be
yeah,
answered. Mhm. Or
yeah.
you might not. you might forget something, or you might not
Mhm.
think something is relevant, but when you have this foundation to ask them questions, that sounds very helpful to not only you, but also them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I know I can go
I
on.
love it. You go.
So so you have, I noticed that you have, like, a section on your website, about, outsourcing and how, people might have to do that in order to, lessen the load as we talked about earlier. Um,
Mhm.
what is your strategy for kind of sorting that out for, a person or a business? Like, what do you think is how do you find the best fit for them? What do you think, is a good strategy for them finding a specific type of person or people to work with and do things,
Yeah.
and they're able to trust them?
So good. Okay, so there's a broad element of this. Like, who do I need on the team?
Mhm.
And how do I like to work so that I know what kind of person I need to hire so we can complement each other. And the person will be a fit for your company. So there's this overarching element. But let's assume that you know the person you need to hire and you know the role you need to fill and what those responsibilities are. As you dig into the recruiting, the interview, the selection process, I think oftentimes when we go when I see companies, owners, agencies go to hire, there's a pinch already. You're in crunch mode. You're like, we need that person. We need them yesterday,
Mhm,
which I
mhm.
get, right? Because you don't want to hire too soon. You want to make sure everything's in sync. Somebody leaves unexpectedly, right? So I think that if we're in crunch mode, it's really important that you don't speed through it because if you hire the wrong person, you're going to be upset. They're going to be upset. Everybody's going to be annoyed, right? So I look for those win-wins and we want to make sure that the time spent recruiting is well invested. So I want you to think about what is this person going to do? And so you're going to screen for that. And you're not going to use traditional based interviewing. You're going to use an interview approach called behavioral based interviewing where you can really probe and understand the experience that someone has versus just saying, "Hey, do you know," the example I use is, "Do you know WordPress?" I'm like, "Yeah, I
Yeah,
know
are you
WordPress."
qualified for this different
"Yeah,
than
sure.
are you a
Yeah,
good personality for this company?
I'm
Like, it could
perfect.
be
I'm perfect
yeah.
for this company." But
Uh-huh.
what you wanna know, right, is tell me about your personality, Shannon.
Yeah.
Tell
Mhm.
me, right, tell me about a time when you have built a website in WordPress before. Okay, now we're gonna hear an actual experience versus me just saying, "Yeah, I'm perfect." Right? You really wanna dig into that. It's interesting, when I was recruiting, I was leading a recruiting team early on, um, and a recruiter on the team came to me and said, "Look at these resumes." They had different names, but all of the content on the 2 resumes was exactly the same. I'm like, "Huh. Well, who's telling the truth? Who wrote the resume? Where is the story coming from?"
Mhm.
So you've really gotta be able to say, "Oh, InDesign? Okay, but tell me more. What have you done in it? Go deeper, 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 deeper." So really that probing is really important. And so having an evaluation model, having the questions that you're going to ask, same questions each candidate, and being able to dig into the heart of what someone knows as well as how they work to make sure that how they work is the right fit for your team, your company, your style of working. So you're not experiencing sandpaper from the beginning. So those are some of the things I would recommend thinking about, assuming, we've got our values line, we know what we're hiring for, we know how many hours a week, we've got pay in mind. But you're really going to make sure you're bringing on the right person. So take the time to get prepared for that recruiting process so that when you're in it in a pinch, you still have a framework to use to go through so you don't make a mistake in the pinch because that can cost so much money.
Yeah, no, I definitely resonate with everything you said because I think that a lot, especially agencies, I've seen at least, kind of have businesses, depending on how large they are, the environment kind of
Mhm.
changes, I think, rapidly. But I think for agencies, a lot of them have a specific work environment and a specific personality for someone that works there. And I think it's
Mhm.
very important that they, cater to that vibe, so to speak, and make sure that they have people that they're working with well, especially when it's a smaller agency because, you're working with these people every day and you're interacting with them and
Yeah.
you want to make sure that the personalities mesh together. And
Yeah.
I think qualifications only show so much about a person. Why I love interviewing so much.
Yeah.
Like when I go to a job interview, I like going to a job interview because I hate the jobs that they determine, what that you're gonna be there or you're gonna be hired or not based off of resume because sometimes I don't have the same experience as someone else, but sometimes I would interned with different nonprofits in college, and
Mhm.
I actually saw, which is not good, but I saw the resume of someone else who was not hired over me that I was like,
Mm.
and I realized they were so much more overqualified than me. They had
Mhm.
way more experience with nonprofits. It was like the first one that I had gotten. And I noticed that and I was like, why would they? And then I was like, I must have had a good interview. I didn't have experience with this, but I really cared about the
Mhm.
what they were doing. And I think that is a difference. It's like, yeah, you can have experience, but if you don't have that care or that attention to detail because you
Yeah.
feel like you wanna do that work. Like, there's a difference between there can be people that have a load of experience, but they hate what they do. They're just like, you can be
Mhm.
good at what you do, but hate it. And I think you have to be
Mhm.
good and also enjoy the work, and that is something that's really difficult to find. So getting a personality read is really
Yeah.
important for that too.
Yeah. And is it a match? I love how you mentioned the company culture. And is there a fit there with our agency's culture? If not, oh, you're going to not be happy here.
Yeah, it's like you can do great
Thanks
work,
for the-
you don't vibe with the rest of the people there, and that sucks.
Yeah.
That's
And
not a
that's
good
something
experience.
else that's so important in the recruiting process is to make sure you give a realistic job preview, not just painting a picture of how wonderful it is here and how awesome we are and we're growing so fast and look at all this cool work that we've done. Yes, share that, but also share the realities. We're actually working long hours right now. We're trying to get better about that, but it's just the reality. And right, what are those things? We don't have the best systems in place. Our workflow is a little clunky, right? Our approval process, so sharing that so people come in, they're not surprised and like, wait, this is nothing like what they said.
Yep.
And then trust is eroded immediately. So you want
And the
to,
turnover rate is not great.
exactly. And it takes a lot of time to train someone when they come new into a company. So you want that investment to be a strong one.
Yeah, of course, because yeah, you put in resources in order to train someone, and then of course, if that's not the environment for them, then you're losing them immediately, and then you spend all the time doing those things, and then you lose them, which is,
Yeah.
maybe for the best, but also just is unfortunate,
Yeah.
and for both parties involved. So
Yeah. Yeah.
so sorry. I think I have
No
sneezed. I might lose
problem.
it though. I think I'm losing it. It happens. Well, interruption is perfect timing for the game.
I love it. I'm ready.
Oh, okay. I'll ask you a relatively not absurd question first. Okay.
Okay.
Would you rather work for Apple, Google, or Microsoft?
Oh, good question. Oh, not Microsoft. Again, it wouldn't be terrible. I like a lot of what Microsoft has done, and I've used a lot of their products. Ah, gosh, Google, Apple. This is a hard one. Use a lot of Google. Oh, I'm so torn. I'm gonna go with Google.
I think it's the winner, like for the majority of the picks. I'm gonna be honest.
Wow.
Yeah, I think they have a very good and then this could be a total farce, but I know that they do have a very it seems like they have a really fun work environment and they have a lot of good
Mm.
benefits. Um
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do see that a lot, but that that
Mhm.
could just be really good advertising and marketing. And
And part of
like
me
it's
went,
fun to work at Google.
it is fun. I read an article on that once. Surprise, surprise. I was digging into this. I read a lot of business articles since I play in that space. And it was interesting. Google, yeah, benefits are great. And the perks are great. And the environment's great. And it keeps you at work. So you
That's
lose a
really
little bit of
smart.
that work life balance. So I was thinking through
Mhm.
culture and I was thinking, man, Apple, I envision like, there's a story about Apple products and like not simple enough. not simple enough. Too many clicks, too many clicks. And Steve Jobs kept sending the product back. No, I just want to click one time, one button to get me to where I want to be. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, it feels like a lot of iterations. I
That's
get to a good
annoying.
job,
Yeah.
and also annoying. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, there are stories, even Steve Jobs saying, "Oh, I might have been annoyed." I think he used to describe him too. But then I was like, oh, Google, maybe a little bit less than that, but still innovative and trying new things and markets. So that was where my decision went down to.
Yeah, no, I can completely understand that, especially Apple. Yeah, that seems very tedious. Because I understand that because I still use Apple because of the simplicity. I
Yeah,
cannot use technology. I'm so god
yeah,
awful at it. So
yeah.
I the Apple makes it simple. I would love to use Microsoft more or products more or even Android phones. I think they're so cool. I think they have so many gimmicks, but I have no idea how to even begin to understand Android. I don't understand. There's too many things that you can do on it, and I don't want them. I don't I don't wanna I don't that sounds horrible. I don't wanna navigate that.
I love it.
Okay, I will be an absurd question. Okay. How many eggs do you think you can eat in a day? If it was like a competition.
1, 2, 3. Oh, competition? I don't know. My number is probably going to be low compared to many people. I'm going to go with 20.
Honestly, that's pretty fair. That's pretty good. We've had 80, we've
Yeah.
had 50, and we've had like
Mhm.
12. So I mean,
Yeah.
you're a good ballpark. Some people are
Yeah.
like at least 3. And I'm like,
Oh, yeah, definitely
okay, you're not really
3.
challenging yourself.
Yeah. I think at 20, I might get a little like, oh, ooh, okay, my stomach's starting to feel it. So why push it? I'm just going to go with 20. I don't
I
know what
can't
the
get
prize is in this competition. So I
high
didn't.
cholesterol. Yeah, no, I think the 80 egg person would probably die.
Yeah, right?
I don't see a good future for the 80 egg person. I don't think they're planning on doing that though. But if they do, probably die.
Good morning. Good morning.
20 is fine. 20 is fine. Okay, last one I'm gonna give you. Okay, because this one is topical, I suppose. Okay,
Okay.
if you're doing outreach, what do you think is the most optimal way of doing so? LinkedIn or email?
The most optimal way of doing outreach. Like any decision we make in businesses and lives, I hate to say it, but totally depends on what are we doing outreach for? How do we connect with them in email? How do we get their email address? So I'm gonna say it depends. I would need more information to properly assess
Okay,
this.
how about this? Okay, for your business specifically, like say this was the earlier stages and you were reaching out to people to get them
Okay.
to be involved.
Um Building rapport. I mean, the best place to connect with someone and reach out to someone is place where you're going to show up. Period. So if you're starting up and you're like, "Oh, LinkedIn isn't my thing." Okay,
Mhm.
then start reaching out to people on email, start calling people. Start, showing up at networking events. I added some options there.
Networking events are good too. Mhm. Definitely. Definitely in-person things are very valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. And then LinkedIn, I mean, of course, LinkedIn, yeah, great place to connect with people. So no hate on LinkedIn.
I
But if
know
you're like,
that's
"Oh, I'm not there yet, I'd be more comfortable somewhere else, go for it. I think what's so important is that you just go for it. Start building those connections because you're immediately going to start getting feedback. Oh, this isn't my space. Oh, I'm not making progress there. Oh, I got this feedback. Let me roll that in. So I'm going to go with the place you're more comfortable and they both work.
No, I think that's definitely a good assumption, honestly. I think that LinkedIn specifically is difficult if you don't have a foundation there. People just think you're a
Okay.
bot or something like that. If you don't have at
Yeah,
least 500 connections, you're a fake person and we don't believe in you.
yeah, yeah.
And I think that's very funny too because no one knows 500 people. Like really.
Real right.
So I think that's very funny because that's I feel like that is the foundation of what people believe is a real person on LinkedIn or like a real business owner or whatever it may be, but I don't think that makes sense
Yeah.
really. But yeah,
Yeah, it's
LinkedIn
hard to
is
maintain relationships, authentic, deep relationships with yeah. the hundreds of thousands that we're connected to online.
It's a difficult space. It's like the social media professionalism, I like to say, and I don't
Mhm.
love that, but I also think that it is a very helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, what beautiful connections. I think about it too. All of the social media platforms have their pros and cons, but ultimately, I think that social media online, it's been a gift to be able to stay connected to people from throughout the career, throughout different places we've lived. So, yeah, I like it.
Yeah, that's really incredible to be able to do. I definitely am lucky that I'm I'm lucky and both unlucky that I don't travel. So I'm not ever away from people to be able to see them, but it's also yeah, no, I would very much like to do that too and gain,
I have
fun
some
experience.
recommendations on places to go when you're ready.
That would be great. I'll send you an email for sure. But thank you so much for coming on today. It is unfortunately all the time that we have, but I really appreciate you coming on and teaching me some things, which is always my goal for the podcast. So thank you so much.
Such a blast hanging out. Thank you so much, Shannon.
Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to hear more stories like this and to be able to learn more things like I get to do. Thank you so much.
You've been listening to Fully Managed, brought to you by Penji. Check out the show notes to learn more about today's guest, and to learn more about Penji, the human-first creative subscription service, head over to penji.co. And by the way, if you're still listening, it would mean the absolute world to us if you were to share this podcast with a friend, and of course, subscribe.